I'm going to purposefully crash into you. I'm going to put in the wall. For me, that is unacceptable. And he's gone beyond the line here, and I'm not going to accept it.
No regrets at all, because I meant everything I said. And it's still the same. If I had to do it again, maybe I would have said even more, knowing the outcome of the race results. So, I still can't believe that someone can be like that in the stewards room.
You know, things are supposed to be quite relaxed. It's the last race of the season. Nothing really should be going on. The drivers, they should just be having fun. But oh no, we have got quite a ding-dong with two drivers in particular. And I'm sure you all know who I'm talking about. George Russell, Max Verstappen. And this is a carry-on from last weekend's shenanigans in qualifying, where Verstappen was given a one-place grid penalty for what he deems to be an unfairly and unjust penalty at that. And he had quite a lot of harsh remarks to say, not only in the Dutch press, but also on the FIA post-race press conference and qualifying press conference. And if you haven't seen that, here's a short clip for you.
Ga je er nog even met Russell over praten? Even rustig met z'n
Ja,
tweeën.
nu nog even niet, maar weet je wat het is? Hij doet altijd heel netjes hier voor de camera. Maar als je dan naar binnen persoonlijk zit, is het gewoon een andere persoon. En daar kan ik heel moeilijk tegen. En dan kan je eigenlijk ook maar gewoon beter oprotten. Want daar heb ik niks mee hoef ik niks mee uit te maken.
Now, this weekend in Abu Dhabi, this Thursday, George Russell has had his chance to have a response to all of these statements put. And it's been quite a fierce, feisty one at that. Russell has basically accused Verstappen of saying, I'm going to put your head in the fucking wall and drive straight into you, which I think is quite amusing. You could see it last weekend if you saw the drivers' parade. Verstappen, those eyes, there was menace in those eyes. And yeah, it's just really interesting, and it feels like the old school Formula One has made its return. If you're a fan of the sport and have been around for long enough, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Senna and Prost. Them two, they were going through some madness back in the late 80s, early 90s. And it just feels like we've gotten that kind of nitty-gritty edge back in the competitiveness between the drivers, particularly these two. And I, for one, am here for it. I don't always generally like this necessarily happy families that all the drivers have. Yes, it's good, but I want a little bit of needle out on track. And we certainly got that. I thought this weekend was just going to be the Lewis Hamilton swan song for Mercedes. And I think today, at least, that's going to be pushed to the back of everyone's minds with what has just gone on with George Russell and both Max Verstappen in their respective interviews. Now I'm going to play a few very brief, quick clips from both drivers today, further making claims and responses to one another about what did and didn't happen last weekend in Qatar.
I just never expected someone to really try and actively get someone a penalty that badly and lying about why I was doing what I was doing. But clearly it had an influence to them.
As I said, I've known Max for 12 years. I've respected him all of this time. But now I've lost respect for him because we're all fighting on track and it's never personal. Now he's made it personal and someone needs to stand up to a bully like this. And so far, people are letting him get away with murder.
Now you'll notice one thing which was very interesting in George Russell's response. He never actually defended himself against the accusations Verstappen put towards him, which I found was kind of a telling sign, but also ironic. And I just feel this is going to rumble on and on throughout the winter and into 2025. I think we're going to rock up in Abu Dhabi next year. No, Australia next year. We're going Australia first. That's a better track to start a season at. And they're going to come together at the first corner. And I can see it happening this weekend as well. When drivers or sportsmen have this beef or issue with one another, they tend to magically or mysteriously find their way to one another on the track or in whatever respective field they're in. And I feel we're going to have a scenario quite potentially like this. We're going to have Verstappen in pole or Russell in pole with Verstappen or Russell behind one another. And we're going into the turn first corner. neither are coming out of that first corner. They're not going to lift off the brakes for a second. They're not going to give each other one minuscule amount of space. They're going to go straight off into the barriers at the first corner. That's the way I feel the animosity between the two has gotten to, and in a very quick, short period of time over this whole week. And I think this is a continuation we could see in 2025 for that season if Mercedes can sort their car out with the W16 and give Russell and Kimi Antonelli a very highly competitive machinery under them. And it's not even just the drivers, even the team principals from these two have gone in on the act, with last weekend saying Russell was in hysterics, which is what Christian Horner said, and then today in another Mercedes press conference with the written press, Toto Wolff was with George Russell and defended him, and he called Christian Horner, what was it, a terrier? Basically he called him a dog, which I found was absolutely hilarious. And I just feel it's like an episode of Monday Night Raw from WWE. I feel like we should get these two into the ring and have a tag team match with Verstappen and Horner v Wolff and Russell. And I think we all know how that would go on a physical standpoint. I think it's quite obvious. But yeah, I'm just loving the fact that Formula One is back in a manner from which we haven't seen at all really since, I would say, Hamilton and Verstappen in 2021, and also a little bit of Rosberg and Hamilton in the mid-2010s. And I, for one, am loving what is happening. And instead of having a boring weekend, we're going to have an extremely fascinating and high-tempered one, I think, on the cards here. So yeah, let me know what you think of the whole situation. So I'm finding it both highly entertaining, just like Lando Norris is, but also looking forward to just seeing what is going to occur. Anyway guys, I'm going to wrap the video up here. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, I will of course catch you later for some more Formula One content. And if you've enjoyed the content and you're new, do consider subscribing to the channel, turning on notifications for future Formula One content on the channel. Right guys, I'll catch you all later.